You might choose, as we go into this practice, to close your eyes and to take in this intent. And of course, at the end of the day, the most important intention is the one that comes from within you. I'm just going to maybe plant a seed to help focus what we're about to do, because as we go into the body, we go into a whole new world for some, and maybe a familiar world for others. Regardless, we do go into a world, and the intention that we bring into it has a really heavy influence on the way we experience that world. So consider it, amidst the infinite things that we could focus on, all our intent does is guide our focus towards something that we'd like to bring into our awareness and to focus on as we practice. So the three intentions that came to me to share with you guys is first, about allowance. So to allow that which is not serving my highest good, and those things that are obstructing me kind of being fully me, and to allow them to just naturally release, kind of like autumn leaves dropping from the trees from my body and mind. So if you do notice any things that maybe you're holding as we do connect with the body more deeply, then you might like to connect with that intention to just allow. You don't need to do anything. It's built up for whatever reason. And if we then start to go, well, I can allow this to just keep moving. I don't need to let it go as this negative thing that I carry within me. It's maybe just something that doesn't have movement. And all we're going to do is just allow movement to these things. So this might be contextual as we go into the practices. The other is softness. So to connect with the quality of softness, particularly as we move our spines. So there's lots of ways that we can move, and you might have different perspectives, different experiences as you move. For some people, it's like, when I move, I need to feel like I'm challenging myself for that to feel like it's effective. So if we bring in this quality of softness, then we can start to observe and go, maybe I'm pushing myself a little hard. I'm trying to achieve something a little bit much, and anchor back to that quality of softness, and then start to bring that into the movement that we'll be exploring, the movements that we'll be exploring. So I just have an experience that the more creates more, so what we focus on definitely does grow. So you might come to awareness of certain things in your spine. You might want to change them. You might want to stretch them. You might want to do all sorts of different things. But what I find useful to consider is to really bring the awareness into the softness that you have. And then what we'll look to do is plant a seed for you to grow that over time. So softness is the other intention. The third is heart connection. So it's quite common these days that I notice, and even for myself, I have to keep staying aware of this, of the awareness comes into the analytical processes and the head and all of that sort of thing. And we can start to go into rationale and reasoning and all of that sort of thing. And while that has a time and place, it's really useful. If that's operating more than not, then that can then be really exciting for the nervous system and can cause us to not be in a, I suppose, state of rejuvenation and healing most of the time. The body loves to be in that space, and a really great way to connect with that is through anchoring into our heart as a physical space, but also as perhaps a conceptual space. It'll mean something different for all of you guys. And I'll give you some practices to connect with your heart. And really the intent is to allow that to expand and flow out into your world. And hopefully I can set a wonderful example of sharing from that space. And if a little bit can rub off onto anyone watching, then mission accomplished. So that's a little bit about what we'll explore today. What we're going to do at the end is open up to observations and all of that sort of thing. So you might have questions that come up along the way. Just if you need to write them down or anything like that, then just take your time. This is about you. This is your own exploration. So I'll guide through some things, but we'll also have some conversation at the end where you can share any things and get any perspectives and feedback from me if you would like that at the end as well. So just know that I'll do my best to hear where everyone's coming from. There's a few people on the call today, so I'll do my best to be as personal as possible, and then we'll talk about how we can offer some further support after as well if that's needed. So let's go into practice. So we all thumbs up if we're ready. For those of you I can't see, I'm going to trust that we're all ready. And it's just so wonderful to have you guys here. Thank you. It feels really wonderful just to be part of that reciprocal process of giving and receiving. So otherwise I'll just be talking to myself, which would also be wonderful, but it's great to have some people to talk to. And so to begin, let's connect with the body a little bit. Self-massage is a really, really wonderful way to do that. So we'll just start with the hands, and we're just going to go for about 5 minutes. And all we're doing is just applying gentle pressure, massage. You could have light touch, firm touch, but just go at your own pace. And all we're going to do is just start to explore all we're doing here. Just consider, like imagine you're dialing into a radio station, like those old analog radio stations. As we use touch with the body, then the mind starts to dial into different areas of the body. So rather than thinking about trying to put our mind as an intellectual process into the body, we're stepping into an experiential perspective. So all we're doing here, as we're just doing this simple activity of just touching the body, is just allowing our mind to sink into the muscle tissue and maybe a little deeper into the nervous system, into the fascia system, into the joints. So I'm just going to go at my own pace, but you go at your own pace, and you can follow like your arms all the way to your torso. The intent here is that we just explore through the whole body from the head, there's my headphone, all the way down to the feet. So I'm going to set a little timer for 5 minutes and just get into your own space. You don't need to really look at what I'm doing from this point. You can listen to what I'm saying, but just allow yourself to really anchor into your body. I know this is an interesting format that we're all looking at a computer screen, which is a little bit strange. Yet, start to really sink into your body, become aware of things, and do your best as you start to become aware of the body to just observe, be the watcher of your experience, rather than going, "Ooh, that's bad. Ooh, I like that better than the other part." We're just looking to just really gather information at this point, okay? And do our best to look at it with loving eyes, to hear it with loving ears. And if there is any areas that need a bit of extra love, just trust what you get and give it some. So we can anchor back to that intention of really allowing that which is not serving my highest good to release. And if you feel to, you can just let your breathing be reflective of that. Like you can let out a sigh, like, oh, fuck. Let out whatever you need to let out. I'm kind of using that word just to be expressive, just to kind of, we don't all have to be kind of holier than thou or spiritual or whatever it is. Just like be real with yourself, let it out however it needs to come out. Just notice what's happening with your body as you're connecting with it through touch. And this is just a simple thing that you can do each day. Any moment you choose, any moment you feel like you're drawing into your thoughts, the head, all these things are just metaphors for where we focus from as we move through life. Particularly the feet, if you haven't connected with those wonderful things in a while. You can be sitting, you can be standing, you can be rolling on the floor. An opportunity to just let your breathing do what it needs to do. An opportunity to step out of needing to control the body. To just check in like you're knocking on the door of a friend, saying, "Hey, what's up? How have you been? How are you now? What's unfolding in your world?" Because at the end of the day, our body and mind are the same thing. So we're looking at our relationship with our body as we connect into it, with just varying levels of touch and self-massage. So we're going to go for about a minute more. So just focus in on any areas that need it for the last minute. Notice what's unfolding. We're all in different time zones, so it's not necessarily morning for everyone as we're entering the day. And one thing that you can start to consider as we've been using physical touch is, as we start to take the physical touch away, can we continue to allow that touch to be felt without physical touch? So really that's a wonderful thing that I like to progress when I work with people too, is deepening the feeling of the body. So allowing our mind to be able to permeate deeper into the body. So what you might like to then explore next is, as we come back to stillness, is to just see if you can check into different areas. Maybe it's your foot. You might go left foot. Can you let your mind sink into there? Notice how it responds. Can you move your mind into your right foot? Notice how it responds. Okey-doke. So notice what you notice. There's nothing to achieve here. Right? We've all got our own process. And a useful thing that I like to impart is that the more we can just step into the present moment, the more we step into the unknown. And that can be scary because it's like, oh, I'm stepping into newness, the first time. But the more we can do that, the more we then invite the body on a process of its own unfolding rather than sameness. You know, like often I just say, if there's two states that we could look to allow ourselves to move into, one is the sameness, that Groundhog Day. And that's useful to become aware of if things are the same old, if they're on repeat. And if we can just be in a process of change, then that in and of itself is really all that's needed to allow progress. Just allow change, no matter how things present. If we can allow change, then we start to step into this natural process that's all around us in nature. So as we start to connect a little deeper into the body, we're going to go into the heart center, and we're just going to do, we could call this a meditation, but really it's just a focus of presence into the heart center. So what we can do, a useful way to use touch to focus it, is to start to bring two fingers onto the center point of the chest, right in the middle of the rib cage. So all we're doing here is just attuning our mind to first the surface feeling. And as you bring your awareness to the heart center, then start to just use your imagination faculties to imagine that you're breathing in and out of this space. And we're going to just sit here for about 5 minutes and just notice whatever you notice. There's nothing to get here. Really, one intention is to simply allow yourself to feel at a deeper level. So connecting in with the heart center. If you can start to notice what's happening in the subtle energy flows of your body. Let your awareness start to expand. Breathing in from the heart center. And breathing out from the heart center. Allowing yourself to rest into this moment as much as we can. And if your mind tries to start to get involved and control the process, all you need to do is just gently guide your awareness back to the heart center. Even if you need to do it 100 times. Just coming back to the heart center, coming back to the heart center. And this is a physical space as much as it is a conceptual space. That you choose your relationship with it. It's also a physical space in your body. It's not unnatural when we connect with the heart center, if we haven't for some time, that then things can come to the surface. Once again, all we need to do is just allow that natural process of change. Allow the body to do its magic. It's a really wonderful, clever bit of equipment that we've got if we just let it do its thing. And we're also going to now just start to imagine that your heart center is then connecting down beneath your feet. You could imagine that it's connecting into the planet because we don't operate in isolation from the planet that we're on. And as much as I'm not intending to go super esoteric here, but you might start to just visualize that your heart center is anchoring down into the ground. Don't need to feel anything, don't need to do anything, just an intent to guide your awareness. Notice what's happening in your body. In this space, there is no good, there is no bad, just what's unfolding. And what matters is how we respond to what's unfolding. How we choose to perceive the information that's coming into our awareness. might notice that this space has begun to expand into the space around you, but that's not essential that you notice that, but it may be happening. So as we go into some spinal movement in the practices ahead, I'd like you to just do your best to continue to anchor your awareness into your heart center as you're moving. Now this takes some practice, but if you notice that you're going into analysis of, oh, am I doing this right? Or I don't know if that feels good, or all of these thoughts, then do your best to anchor your awareness back into your heart center and just really allow yourself to experience the movement through that if you can. This might be a really useful tool to just keep you anchored into your body, into your heart as we go through the movement. So to begin, a tool that I often use is a wall. It's a fairly mundane tool, but it's a very powerful tool because we're going to first connect with the back of the spine. So all the stuff that we can't really see, and often we're very visually dominant. So what we can see, we often have greater connection with. But because we can't see behind our back, sometimes we can lose connection with that area of the body. So we're going to use the wall as a tool to place gentle pressure against your spinal muscles. And so just as I'm talking about it, see if you can make your way up to a wall. And as long as you can hear me, I will demonstrate it if it's needed, but it's very simple, this practice, but the simplicity doesn't discount the effectiveness of what's happening. So all we're going to do to start is first find a distance from the wall. So our feet are far enough that we can put our lower back flat on the wall and as much of our spine on the wall, with the exception for the curvature of the neck. So we don't want to kind of force that onto the wall. But if you're too far, then you'll find that you're leaning on the wall, which isn't really going to work for this practice. If you're too close, then you might find it difficult to flatten against the wall. So just find an appropriate position where you could move on and off the wall, just using the muscles of your feet and your ankles. So it's nice and easy. So I'm going to trust for the people that I can't see in their cameras that you're on the wall. And if you're not, maybe just pop your head around and let me know if you've got a challenge as we go into this. So the first objective that we're going to focus on, once you've got your back in contact with the wall, is we're going to start to practice rolling the spine up the wall. So just from your pelvis, we're going to start to just tuck it under. So then you'll feel more of your weight move over your feet. Allow your knees to travel forward. And then all we're doing is then just moving all the way up the spine. So then we go into a gentle arch. And we're going to go nice and slowly. And as you get to the neck, do your best to draw your chin in and see if you can get the neck in contact with the wall. And then as we get to there, we're going to go to the top of the head, extend the arms back so the fingertips touch the wall. And then we're going to reverse the process. So we're going to then roll back down the wall, ever so slowly, slow enough that our awareness can catch up with the movement of our body. So we're going to explore this for about 5 minutes. So I'll continue to give little guidelines as we do this. So all we're doing basically is using the wall as a tool and then seeing if we can start to notice the level of detail that we can move our spine. as we roll the spinal column up and down the wall. Just imagine it's peeling off the wall and then it's melting onto the wall. And if you notice there's any areas that are a bit chunky, you might have like one big clump of vertebra that move as a bunch, then do your best to slow it down, to deepen your breathing. Allow that quality of softness to emerge into this practice. All that matters here is to connect with your heart, connect with that quality of softness wherever you have it, and then let's allow that to grow as we continue to practice. Notice any habits that you have when it comes to moving your spine. Common habit is maybe we overextend at the lower back, causing compaction. So if you do notice habits like that, see if you can extend more at the hips. Maybe we have habits of rigidity where we don't move certain areas as much. See if we can bring that into our awareness and invite a new choice. This is a game of millimeters. The millimeters of change add up over time until they form miles. And if you can start to connect with just one little extra millimeter of your spine today, then that can add up. So letting go of needing to try and, it's like eat a watermelon in one mouthful. Just one bite at a time is all we need. So we'll go for another about 2.5 minutes. So if you are feeling tired, it's either an opportunity for you to reduce the intensity. You could take a rest if you need, but if you choose to, maybe just reflect on if I'm maybe pushing myself a bit hard. See if you can reduce your effort as we explore this movement of the spine, allowing the mind to continue to sink into feeling the spine. Allowing your mind to love whatever comes. To know that if we just keep allowing movement to happen, then we allow ourselves to step into this process of change. Be aware of any parts of your mind that are trying to fix certain areas. Know that you are whole and complete as you are today. And perhaps this is more about connecting with the wholeness maybe that you've forgotten than it is about trying to fill a void, trying to be better. Maybe you're good enough as you are. Just food for thought, something to consider. Okay. So we'll just take a moment, just have a brief walk around. Just connect back with your breathing, connect back with your heart center. And after about a minute, we're going to come back to the wall. And we're going to work on the frontal structures. But let's just consider this a moment just to recenter if any thoughts have started to travel into the head. Just come back into your heart center. It seems funny that when we have an intent to connect with the body, sometimes the opposite can happen. If it's not a friendly space for us, what we're looking to do here is really carve out a more wonderful space, so then we're drawn into the body more and more in life. So next we're going to explore the frontal structures of the spine. So where that previous practice, we were really initiating from the hips and opening and closing, expanding and softening the spine. Now we're going to focus on leading with the head as we start to undulate the spine. So as we've got the wall in front of us, we're going to start with the top of the head. If everyone can see me. So we've got the top of the head on the wall. And then we start to then use that to then lightly touch the nose and then the chin. And then as soon as we can around the chest, and then continuing to roll all the way down till we get to the pelvis. And then we're going to dip the head under and continue the motion, just in a really slow, aware manner, okay? So use the wall as a guide to then use these checkpoints, trying to touch or doing our best to allow these areas of the spine to touch on the wall and then peeling off the wall. And this is going to start to bring some awareness, so then we can apply it into some more explorative practices coming up. So if that's nice and clear, I'll talk you through it as we get to the wall. So we're going to explore this for about 5 minutes again. And notice, same spine, but now we've got a different way of interacting with it. And once again, you can be closer or further to the wall and keep readjusting as you need to find what's appropriate for you at this moment. So you could do a wave and go, well, I'm a little bit close to the wall, need to be a little further. Or I feel like maybe there's some more space to challenge my range of movement, provided I can keep that softness quality in the movement. And as we do this, as we start to lead with the head, you might notice that we're creating this wonderful lifting to start to create space in the spinal column. One thing that you can imagine as you're lifting the bones is that you're letting the muscles sink and hang off your bones. So a useful little imagery that I find helpful is the bones float and the muscles sink. Just do your best to bring the movement into your awareness first. Let your breathing just do what it does. And then over time, you can connect the breath with the movement for a greater effect. But the breathing is the main thing at this point. Is just be aware that you're not holding your breathing. Allow your breathing to cause your spinal column to become more spacious, to become more relaxed. And just take the time you need. If things come into your awareness about maybe a lack of movement in certain areas, wonderful. Thank you. It's great to become aware of these things, and through practice, then these things can change. But we don't need to try force it to change today. All we're doing is saying, hey body, I love you enough to connect with you, to move you. And the more I connect with you, then the more harmonious the relationship we can have. And that's one thing that we're really looking to do, is to build that connection, the harmony between our concept of the body and the mind. So we'll slowly and gently explore this for a bit over another minute and a half. And all you're doing is just connecting with your spine at a core level. You're not trying to do anything except allow your connection with your spine to grow. Don't try and do the exercise right, because there is no right way. There's just your way, the way that you do today. We observe, we gather information, and then we refine. The more we can observe the body, the more we get to know it, the more we can then discern what's right for us in any given moment of time. This takes us outside of the paradigm of trying to push exercises upon our body. We're using physical practice, physical exercise, as a tool of awareness, not as a tool of willfulness, of force upon the body. Okay, so now make your way off the wall. You've got a very good perception of time, Christian. You just knew. And you can come back to seated. You can take a walk around. We're just going to come back to your breathing. Come back into your heart center. And we're going to do one more practice. I'm going to invite you to get up, or you can stay seated for this next practice. You can do it in lots of different positions. I tend to look at different positions of complexity of movement. So like often the most basic layer is laying down on the ground. Then as we start to kneel and sit up and the spine starts to work with gravity, it's a little bit more complex. Then as we stand, a little bit more complex again. We then have to work out what's going on with the weight displacement of the lower body. And then moving around, walking and being more dynamic. So you can choose to make this next practice as simple or as complex as you like. But all we're going to do is apply that awareness that we established in the spinal column and then start to explore movement around different centers of the spine. So I'll just stand up for a second. So let's say we start by leading with the rib cage, by leading with the heart. This becomes, like Simon says, do this, and then everything else follows, right? So you can place your hands there if you choose or not, but we're going to start to just connect in with the quality of movement, of leading with a center of the spine and letting everything else follow. It can kind of be like like a dramatic kind of idea if you want it to be that, but just slowly connecting. Then we could connect with the head, letting that lead the movement. Noticing if any other parts try and jump in and take control, yeah? Or we could also connect with the hips, the lower center. So connecting, allowing this to lead the movement. And it doesn't have to be like a sort of ecstatic dance experience. It's more so like, I find it's just like you're checking in through all different planes of movement and starting to see, are there any areas where I don't have as much choice? Because all we're looking to do here is develop more choices. It's like if you've just got one choice when you move your spine, it's like having one road to get to a destination. And if the traffic goes there over and over and over again, well, then we wear down the road. We kind of create a groove, a habit to be in. What we want to do is create more roads so then we can step out and just have more choices when it comes to moving our spine, even when you're sitting still. If your spine's not held in one position and it's always soft and respondent, well, you don't build up as much tension. So the main thing that we're going to focus on is just free, open exploration. Choose a center. You could choose one center, your upper center, your middle, or your lower center to lead with, or you could explore all of them, okay? We'll just explore for about 5 minutes, and maybe this is a new way to explore where it's like, whoa, so many choices, or maybe this is something that you love. So just let yourself go into your own space, connect with your own unique movement of your spine, and see what happens. There's no right or wrong way. There's just your way. And just go at the level that you would like to. Noticing Lucas is doing it while balancing on one leg. Beautiful exploration. We can start to explore the spine's connection with the rest of the body. And if you ever get stuck, you can bring it back to basics and look at just the basic ways that the spine can move. It can bend forward, it can bend backward, it can bend side to side, and it can rotate right to left or left to right. So we're looking to not trying to patternize the body, but we can start to blend those patterns into a more seamless movement. Let your arms come into the movement as much as you would like. Doing your best to stay with your breathing. Connect with that quality of softness. And allow this snake-like quality, this soft, strong quality, to emerge as you move, without too much attachment on needing to get anywhere. Let your breathing do what it needs to do. If you need to let out a sigh, let it be, let it out, if you choose. You can hold on to it too if you like. You've got a choice. It's the main thing here. You have a choice. You can explore different rhythms. You can go faster. You can go slower. I like to think of it as like a beautiful song that takes you on a journey. Sometimes the song peaks in its emotions, sometimes it drops down. Make music with your body. Observe the potential for the movement of your spine to connect with the rest of your body. Start to open up your perspective to the potential that your spine is not separate. It is part of a wonderful interconnected system. Observe your habits. If your habits are to rush the movement, then you might like to invite the potential of slowing it down. Just connect with your breath and this gentle, subtle movement of your spinal column. So we're going to go for 1 more minute. Okay, so we'll start to slow the movement down and allow yourself to make your way slowly to the ground. We're going to lay on the ground for a moment and just let the spine melt into the floor. Connect back with your breathing. Connect into your heart center. And what we'll do as we connect with our breathing is you can place your hands gently on any areas of the body to give it a gentle little anchor to allow it to soften and melt into the floor. So bring your awareness to the rise and the fall of the breathing. Allowing your spinal column, all the vertebrae to sink, sink, sink. The only thing you need to do here is pat your animals. Dogs love it when we're laying down. Hey, what's going on? Maybe I'll lick you. Cats also do that too. Cats can lay on you. Just let the weight of gravity sink you down into the floor. And bring your awareness into your heart center, continuing to focus your mind into your heart center. Okay. So we'll slowly make our way back to seated.